So what I want to talk to you today about when we look at this Bukowski poem is how, although it might seem very conversational at first glance, and you may think that Bukowski's, he's just writing whatever he thinks and he's not paying attention. What I want to show you is how good writers, although it may seem conversational, they're actually using various techniques to aid in the flow of a poem or a piece of writing. Like, this is not just in poetry, this is in prose as well. Good writers are going to use sound techniques as well as literary devices. So already in this first line, I had to start over because I mislabeled this on you. We see the repetition of vowel sounds. So we have the I in if and the I in it. And when we repeat those vowel sounds, remember that that's assonance. So when a writer uses on purpose a vowel sound over and over to create effect, that's called assonance. If, it, and we're going to see that assonance again right here in the assonance. All right, in the in doesn't, in the in come. If it doesn't come bursting out of you in spite of everything. So again, we have the short I sounds, I, and we have the sound in d, doesn't, and k, That's both assonance. So the writer on purpose is putting words close together that repeat a vowel sound. The next technique already that we see Bukowski employing in this first couple lines, he's using alliteration and consonants as well. So here we have consonants because he's repeating these consonant sounds, and the consonants are found in different places in the words. So we have the T in it, the T in doesn't, the T in bursting, the T in out, and the T in spite. So if you listen, he's created a little bit of flow here. If it doesn't come bursting out of you in spite of everything, don't do it. So all those T's that you're hearing, that's Bukowski using consonants. Okay, he's using consonants in order to make the line sound better. And the last sound technique that Bukowski uses in these first three lines, he also uses alliteration, which is the repetition of beginning consonant sounds. So again, if it doesn't come bursting out of you in spite of everything, don't do it. So see how we have these two D's pretty close together? Those D's, that's alliteration. Alliteration is when you start words with the same sound for effect. So start words with same consonant sound for effect. All right. And consonants, remember, it's that repetition of consonant sounds anywhere in the word, though. For effect, anywhere in word. And then finally, that assonance is a repetition of vowel sounds, okay? Now, these words have to be pretty close together in order to create this effect. But one thing that I want to warn you about is don't do too much of the alliteration, especially. It's kind of looked at as the amateur technique in relation to sound techniques. Like, I'd rather you use consonants or you use assonance, because alliteration can make your work seem almost like a tongue twister, and you never want your reader to notice that you're trying to use alliteration, because then they're not thinking about the subject or the theme of your poem or your piece of prose. They're thinking, wow, that's a lot of D's in a row. So, for example, Bukowski didn't say, don't do it down under, this isn't going to make any sense, duck, dynasty. Like, all of a sudden, all I'm thinking about is, why are all these D's here? It's annoying. So you never want to do that. You want to use it very sparingly, maybe 2 at most in a row, and then otherwise you should have words in between. Okay, so why I really wanted to point this out to you is, again, it seems like he's not using anything. If it doesn't come bursting out of you in spite of everything, don't do it. However, he's using 3 masterful sound techniques already in that very first sentence. Okay, so the last technique that I want to review with you would be enjambment. Okay, and enjambment, if you remember from Creative Writing 1, is when you strategically break lines for effect. So when you strategically break lines for effect. So here, right, the sentence actually ends here with this period. However, if you notice, Bukowski chooses to break lines after you and break lines after everything. And the reason why a writer will do this, it's because they want to draw out a certain point, but they want their poem to be read differently. If you have the text just going straight across the page and jammed together, it has a very different effect, as if you would cut your lines like this, so the reader has to think a little bit about what you said prior to your break. So if it doesn't come bursting out of you, so okay, then I'm focusing right on the, if writing doesn't come just naturally, in spite of everything, don't do it. It's helping me know where to pause as a reader as well. Unless it comes unasked out of your heart and your mind and your mouth and your gut, don't do it. So here we have another technique, right, that Bukowski's using. He's using repetition for effect here. There's two kinds of repetition. There's lazy repetition and there's on-purpose repetition. I only want to see on-purpose repetition. So it helps to create rhythm in writing. So he's repeating that come. Also, notice that he's repeating the way that he's introducing the phrases. So he has your heart and your mind and your mouth and your gut. So sometimes this is called the magic 3. In Bukowski's case here, he's doing the magic 4. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 times that he's repeating the way that words go together. Also notice that he's kind of repeating a refrain here. Don't do it. Don't do it. So we know, right, that one of Bukowski's central themes that he wants the reader to pick up on is don't do it. Don't do it. Like that's a focus here. Notice, right, he starts his next part here with the same way. So if. So we have if it doesn't come, if you have to sit for hours. Look down here. If you're doing it for money, if you're doing it because you want women in your bed, if you have to sit there and rewrite it again and again. So notice that one of the ways that Bukowski's tying this piece together is by using these same beginning phrases here, and that's called parallelism. So he's choosing to kind of set us up with repetition and pull the writing together that way. Okay, so, well, this is a review of quite a few of your sound devices, and let's just take a peek if we can see anything else that Bukowski's using in here. If you have to sit for hours staring at your computer screen or hunched over your typewriter, right now here he's using imagery, right, like we imagine, as well as some very good verbs, staring, hunched, searching. So we can imagine this. If you're doing it for money or fame, don't do it. If you're doing it because you're not women in your bed, don't do it. If you have to sit there and rewrite it again and again, don't do it. If it's hard work thinking about it, don't do it. If you're trying to write like somebody else, forget about it. Now notice he has this big break here, this big stanza break. That means he really wants us to hold on to this, forget about it. Like this is a time he wants the readers to really take a breath and pause. And it kind of signals a change in the poem. So here we go with another. If you have to wait for it to roar out of you, right? We're a little bit of personification. Words really can't roar out of us or writing, but he's making it possible. He's giving that characteristic to us. Or to the writing. The writing is able to do something that a human or an animal would do, personification. If you have to wait for it to roar out of you, then wait patiently. See how he repeats those wait? If it never does roar out of you, do something else. If you first have to read it to your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your parents or to anybody at all, you're not ready. Again, look at him. Your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your parents or to anybody at all. He uses repetition very effectively in this piece. Don't be like so many writers. Don't be like, right? See, more repetition. So many thousands of people who call themselves writers. Don't be dull and boring and pretentious. Don't be consumed with self-love. The libraries of the world have yawned themselves to sleep over your kind. All right, so again, we have some great personification here. Don't add to that. Don't do it. Unless it comes out of your soul like a rocket. Here we have a simile, right? We have two different things compared using like or as. So writing should come out of your soul like a rocket. Unless being still would drive you to madness or suicide or murder, don't do it. Unless the sun inside you is burning your gut, don't do it. So for him to say the sun is inside of you, that's using metaphor, right? He's comparing two different things without using like or as. He's saying that to have the passion for writing is like having a sun inside of your belly. Burning your gut, don't do it. When it is truly time, and if you've been chosen, it will do it by itself, and it will keep on doing it until you die or it dies in you. Notice this. He really wants us to sit in these last two lines. There is no other way, and there never was. Now, I stopped showing you the sound devices, and I didn't show you all the repetition, because Bukowski really uses assonance, consonants, and alliteration everywhere in this poem. Again, it seems very conversational, but he's also using other techniques to add rhythm to the writing. And so that is your lesson on and review on sound techniques. If you have any questions, make sure you email me. Thank you.